Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the TLDR podcast. Today I'm lucky enough to have Luke with me, which is exciting.
One week.
Had to throw it out
Fair
there.
enough.
Just wanted to kind of check in with you, mate. How you doing? How's life?
Yeah, doing good, man. Yeah, really good. What's new? What's new with you?
Oh, don't really know. Nothing exactly new, I guess. Just still in the groove of being over in P Town and ticking along. Pretty excited. I got my race in under 3 weeks, so yeah, getting in the groove for that. I've actually got two weddings coming up before then, so that's not ideal. But no, it'd be good to obviously go to those and catch up with some mates at those ones. The Zoe's coming over this weekend coming, which would be good. We're recording this a week before it gets released, so hence maybe the timeline might be a little bit out. But yeah, Zoe's coming over for Easter, which would be really, really nice. Yeah, nothing too crazily new. I know that you've had a bit of a shake up to the routine.
Yes, somewhat. I'm just doing a lot more coaching now at the gym, which is good.
Yeah, okay.
More hours there. Yeah,
Yep.
smaller team, which is good, which is honestly ideal. Just for continuity, consistency. Yeah, all good things. All good things. So footy is now slowing down in a way because I had the two teams for the preseason, and now we're into the season. Just the one team is going through. So yeah, that's slowing down a touch.
Yeah, cool.
And yeah,
just in terms of
ramping up
what
coaching
you're
stuff.
offering them, sort of thing.
Well, because I was doing the same role across the two teams, it was just every night of the week, alternating nights.
Yep.
Well, Monday through Thursday and then Friday night at the gym. Whereas only one of the teams had a full season contract. The other one was just a preseason contract. So basically, when April rolls around, one team fell off, and then the other team just continues on.
But last week would have been a dream.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Then the changes at the gym happened on the week. Coincidentally, that one of the teams dropped off, and my coaching stuff ramps up. So it's still every night of the week.
Yeah, true.
Just at a different place, which is fine. It's good. Good to put some hours in there and yeah, get the gym humming along.
Which is good. Cool. How is it traveling? I haven't been. It's been about 4 weeks since I was there. So
yeah, when are you back?
Oh, not for a couple more weeks, bro.
Okay. So you're racing in SA or are you racing in Perth?
Yeah. So I land on the Friday before the Sunday race, which is not ideal, but obviously work. The racing doesn't pay the bills.
Yeah, true. Yeah, you got to spread that out as much as you can.
So yeah, no, I'll fly in on a Friday night and race on the Sunday in SA. Yeah. So yeah, get down, guys, if you want to come and watch me flog myself or even scream for me as I run over the finish line or crawl over the finish line. I think we end up in Aldinga. So nice little Sunday morning on the coast down there. We'll be. I'll welcome any and everyone that wants to drive that way.
I'll be there for sure. Great spot down there. Where do you start?
Beautiful. Maiponga, the top of the hill. Yeah, so it's. I think I might have mentioned this in the past, but it is a downhill. Like it's all downhill, which some people will say, "Oh, that's easy," because you just let momentum take you. But my knees do not enjoy downhill running. So I don't know what the gradient is, and from what I've been told, I think it's about 15 k's downhill, not straight, maybe leveled out, but constant. Then you reach sea level with about 6 k's to go, which will be nice. So yeah, I'm interested to see how I travel when it comes to that. So when it comes to just the sheer force that will get into the knees, because yeah, it's kind of like a deceleration cadence that you run as you go downhill, because you don't want obviously momentum to, take your legs out from underneath you. So yeah, starting at the top of a hill, rolling downhill until I hit the water, and then crawling along the water, crawling the sea level.
No, you'll fly. Are you doing anything that's downhill stuff, knowing that that's what the track is?
No, not really, man. My knees don't recover too well from it, so I'm just aware that that's what I need to do. Training's still ramping up, so we're still increasing with training volume and pace work. Actually, not completely. But in terms of these tempo runs I'm doing, they're increasing. The intervals I'm doing are increasing in terms of number of intervals. But then my long run will stay at about 90 minutes.
Yeah, nice. And what's the goal for the 21? Sub 2?
Oh, mate, yeah. if I don't get sub 2, I'll be pretty disappointed. I think downhill, I don't really know, to be honest. I want to chat to my coach and kind of see what he recommends, how I kind of go about it. I have a feeling he'll just kind of go, mate, just have fun. It's a race. It's a race. Go do what you think. But given the gradient, I'm thinking I'm going to run to a heart rate for a period of time until my heart rate my heart rate. How do I say this? So run to my heart rate. So that should be as I warm up and as you fatigue, your heart rate needs to go higher. But I want to run to my heart rate to start with, and then when my pace starts to drop to that relative to that heart rate, I'll then run to the pace. So I don't really know exactly what it is. I'd love if it could be, maybe sub 5 minute Ks, but I don't really. What's a sub 5 minute K half marathon? I'll do some quick maths. But yeah, that's kind of. I don't really have a specific goal.
Yeah, hour and 50-ish.
Yeah, I think so, because then my overall goal is an hour 40. But I feel like in a downhill, could be able to sneak that out. See how we go.
It'd be interesting.
Yeah, massively. Yeah. So I'll get this up and I'll get some specific numbers for us. But no, I'm excited to get back. But that's when I'm back. Yeah, so still a few more weeks this week, next week, and the week after, I think.
Yeah, sick. So let's recap the last couple. So we've had Joel on episode 17, I believe. I'm actually not sure what the time.
Can't remember what episode, but yeah, it was episode 17. Yep. Oh, sorry, it was Joel.
And then Vakey,
yeah. So pretty wild. 5 minutes a kilometer gets me to an hour 45 and 30 seconds. So if I can run sub that.
Okay. You'll do that.
4 minutes. Oh, hang on. I want to know this. Yeah, I should run sub 5. Oof, 4 minutes 55 gets me an hour and 43. So I'll be dabbling with that number. I'll be dabbling.
High 4 minute splits. That's good.
Yeah, I'm thinking high 4 minute splits. But my pace, I'll run to heart rate to begin with, which will get me, hopefully, when I go for a warm up, going down that path just for a little bit longer. When I start off on a run, I can run at my 150 beats and be at 4 minutes 40 a K quite comfortably. And then that obviously progressively gets higher. So maybe when that hits 5, I'll start running 5 minute Ks. And then my heart rate will start to increase. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably the strategy that I'm thinking of going. And being downhill, heart rate doesn't work as hard. So I might be able to run quicker, but we'll figure that out. But yeah, we had Joel and Vakey in the last two. Had some really cool, probably a couple of pieces of feedback or a couple of pieces of listening. People that have listened to Joel's have been men who have gone, oh, I don't think I'll really enjoy this one, or I don't think I need this, like that classic alpha. I don't need to listen to something on masculinity or anything like that. And then they're like, yeah, it's actually really good. Like, it was really interesting and blah, blah, blah. And I think that's part and parcel of what Joel brings, or what that topic brings. Is just like, yeah, you just be humbled by it and just allow yourself to grow, which is really cool. It was really cool to hear that feedback. Of course, yeah, there might be people on the other end of the spectrum, but they just don't want to tell me. Yeah, I didn't really want to listen to it, and I listened to it and I didn't enjoy it, but I haven't really had that feedback. But yeah, I don't know what
the girls
say
that they listen to Joel and just like open their eyes.
Yeah, okay. In what regards?
To men in their life, whether it be like partner or ex-partner or dad or some other like masculine figure in their life. It was really interesting actually to get from the female perspective, because you don't know what you don't know. Like, it's so hard to work out not only what you're feeling, but what other people are feeling. What other men are feeling would be similar to how kind of we feel, but then how women are feeling is like a completely different kettle of fish. So
yeah, big time.
I can see how like women would benefit from kind of understanding that.
Yeah, it's the same as like men trying to understand women, I both
really interesting feedback.
Complex individuals. So yeah, the insight that that would provide. Yeah, I didn't really think about it from that perspective, to be fair, but that's cool. That's cool to hear that sort of feedback.
And I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed that chat, and it wasn't something that I went into thinking that I'd be super into it either. Not that I'm I'm blokey enough. Like I don't need masculinity coaching or whatever, but I didn't think like that, but it just wasn't a topic that I'd ever have thought that I would have been interested in. And it was really interesting. It was, good stuff.
Oh, he's such a well-read individual. Even with the catch up that I've had with him as well. Just we went on some really cool tangents on, not reincarnation, but being, having lived before, and why some people seem wiser than others and are fast learners and all that sort of stuff. And it goes down that sort of path in terms of just what he's read, and what he's seen and witnessed. It's not necessarily double-blind studies with, a sample size of 2,000. It's just like, and that's kind of what this is about, is just coffee catch-ups as we sip on our coffees and just find out a little bit more about what people have read and explored and what gets them excited, which is really cool.
What's your stance on that? On reincarnation and past lives? And
honestly, dude. So for those that don't know, which probably quite a few people, I grew up quite religious, or like going to church up until I was about 13 up until I was grew up in like I don't really care who hears this, actually grew up in pretty much a cult, I'm going to say, until I was 12, and they would adamantly say they're not a cult, they're a religion. But I'm just going to, based on the literal mandates that we were and weren't allowed to do, things like you cannot listen to secular radio, being like the FM dial. You could not watch TV. You can't go to the movies. There's just I don't know. There was probably a lot more stuff, but it was just so odd. Couldn't read book I wouldn't have been allowed to read fantasy books because of like the potential for witchcraft and wizardry and all that, like Harry Potter off the cards. Like super wild. So not just like, oh yeah, I went to church every Sunday. Like, no, I went to church twice on Sunday morning and Sunday evening. Went to church Wednesday night, went to church Friday night. Church. That was church in inverted commas, that for those that are listening. And then from there, kind of moved on to a more new age, like a progressive church, I guess, to the age of like 15. And I've got some real experience when it comes to religion in that particular type of religion. And then that went down the path of more being a business. Like almost every sermon seemed to be about tithing and offerings and basically the finance side of religion. And I'm not sure if you're aware, but I think it's in the Bible. And if I'm not, forgive me for those that would like to correct me, but I'm pretty sure it's like 10% of your wage goes towards the church. So say you earn $1,000, $100 a week goes, or whatever, $100 of that's tithe. You go to the church because that pays for the church, and that's how churches function, is on their congregation and the people that attend them offering their money to pay for the church. It's not something that, there's no grants. Lottery West isn't going, hey, yeah, you're a religion, here's some money. Like, it's paid for by the churchgoers. So that got a bit weird. Like, and even me as a 15-year-old, like, why do they keep talking about money all the time? This is kind of weird. So felt like they were just not money grabbing, but like that's not really teaching the gospel, the word that we're trying to learn and grow and be as better individuals. So we kind of stopped going after 15. So when it comes to reincarnation, my ideologies or my thought process from 0 to 15 was all around, cool, well, you need to follow a particular set of rules. Basically, they're rules, they're not law, they're rules, and that will get you into heaven, which sounds very elite, not elitist is the wrong word, very partitioned. You need to completely fulfill this, and then that will get you here. And then from 15 to, well, from maybe 16, I can't remember, but from then till now, so more than half my life, I've been out of the church and kind of exploring what it means to be a human that is not governed by rules stipulated by a book or a deity or whatever. So yeah, when it comes to like the afterlife, which this is a tunnel if you really want to explore this, I don't really have particular beliefs. I don't have enough conviction in any one way to go, yes, no, I 100% believe in this, which is I'm okay with. But what I did find exciting about when I did catch up with Joel was that this idea of old souls, so people that have lived before, and people like I just mentioned earlier, having this ability to innately pick things up quicker, or like when you have, it's like, oh, like I've experienced this before. It's like I know how to get there quicker, and it's because people have lived before. And the one funny thing that I do find is that whenever someone seems to think that they've had a previous life, they will always tell you about, like, I was a warrior in a past life, or I was I was in the army, or I was a battler, I was a soldier. I don't really hear too many people going, yeah, I was poverty stricken. I was like, where are all those old souls kind of thing? Like, I was the king of my kingdom. It's like, what about the pauper? What about the jester? I was probably a jester, to be fair. I'm a bit of a passive aggressive smartass, but well, I was in my younger days. So yeah, like, I don't know that I have that much like, oh yeah, I definitely know that in my past life I was this. But I do like the idea of having, and again, the idea of it, I can't say with all conviction that I can experience this. I like the idea of going, cool, if and when I, not if, when I die, this soul and mind is not finite. It will continue on in some degree. And that's why you hear about all the, the people to follow, your Kevin Hart's, your, what's his name, Tesla dude, all of them. It's like, I want to leave a legacy. I want to leave something behind because of the fear of not being known long term, for whatever reason. Whereas I like the idea of, and I have no proof that this is what happens, but I like the idea of going, well, this life is just a part of, a myriad of lives that I will live and learn and hopefully grow as an individual. So when it comes to reincarnation, hopefully come back as some sort of sentient being, some sort of individual that can just like progress with the lessons that I'm learning.
Yeah,
so that's a long answer to a very short question.
No. Well, it's a profound question.
Yeah.
It provokes long answers, I guess. Maybe that's like kind of nihilistic. That's what Cam Kittle kind of brought to the table in one of our like really early episodes about nihilism and kind of like everything ends. So, I mean, if you take it down like kind of the negative route of nihilism, it's like everything ends. So what's the point? Whereas this is kind of the complete opposite to that. It's like you're using this opportunity now to learn as much as you can. So hopefully like progress into the next life or something. But like you don't want to, well, I personally wouldn't want to rest on that. You want to make stuff happen in this life,
Yeah.
Not to kind of go down like that spiritual route or whatever, but are you still involved in religion at all? Like,
no, bro.
Completely out of it now?
Yeah, no, completely out of it. I'm pretty stoked to understand that lifestyle. Like, I'm pretty glad that I've been through it, and then I'm not necessarily ignorant, but religion is such a huge, and Christianity in general is Catholicism, Anglican, Protestant, born again. There's all different, various types of Christianity, and I feel like I've got a pretty good grasp on the nuances between them because of that experience that I've had for 15 years, sort of thing. But in terms of religion, no.
What have you taken out of that?
I would say I'm more spiritual than religious.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that came from learning about Jesus and God and the Holy Spirit.
No, I wouldn't say spiritual in terms of, again, like a deity or anything in that regard. I'd say I'm more belief in one's spirit. And there is more to life than the physical presence of being on earth. I feel like I've gone super woo-woo. So if you've switched off already, I apologize, but stay with us. So what have I learned? That's a good question. I've learned like morality. Like I feel like there's a lot that is, again, good and bad when it comes to what is dictated by law as opposed to rules. But then you are governed by your own body of your own morals. Do you know what I mean? Like you have your own morals. So I've learned through that what I believe to be my morals, or like, not that I have a list or anything, but it's like I could approach a situation and go, cool, this feels right or this feels wrong, based on that experience, and whether or not I believe, not to say that everything that Christianity imparted in me I still believe, but they go say, as a very bad example, the one religion, again in inverted commas, that I was at for the formative years of my life, said that watching TV was bad. Well, I can pretty safely say that's not bad. Like, going to the movies is bad. Like, no. So, you form your own from your own experiences, and that was just an experience that I've had in my life that helped me form my set of morals that guide me, I guess.
I wonder how that molded you. Do you think that turned you into this like very rigid and structured individual? Because that's what you are.
Wow, you make me sound so exciting.
Among other things,
rigid and structured individual. I'm just a pair of building blocks. I feel like what's the Minecraft? You know, the Minecraft where like that's literally where my brain went. I'm a pixelated matter.
Well, there's obviously nuance to that. Like you've got emotion and you've got experience, and you know. But when I think of you, I think like the silhouette of you is your glasses and those headphones and like a timetable, like a calendar.
Yeah, I do live by my calendar. That's true. I feel like that's a good thing to do, but I'll just leave that there. I don't know that it formed my behavioral mannerisms. No, I wouldn't say it influenced those. They come from the lifestyle and schooling and family and that sort of stuff, and just what I see around me as being habits that I want to impart in my day to day. So, you know, you see people. I think it's definitely easy when you're younger to form new habits, and when you have people around you that have habits that you admire, you try to mimic those. I wouldn't say that's a result of going to church. No.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Do you think at all in any way?
Not even a little bit.
Influence you?
No.
Right. Okay.
Apart from the fact that you wake up on a weekend and you do this and you go there and you do this and like that. That's apart from having a routine, like in terms of. But I also had a routine when I went to school. I also had a routine. Like,
sure.
I couldn't go. Yeah, because I went to church every Sunday. I'm now have notes in front of me and have a calendar that's organized, and like no, that comes from like, for want of a better term, which is I'm finding out that I say more and more. Thanks, Tuffer. The trauma that you have in past, like you have as you grow up. So things that influence you when you grow up. As an example, I've mentioned this already on the podcast about my year 4 teacher, Mrs. Rob, telling me I'm disorganized. That's the reason I'm organized.
Right. And
what I see as organization is a tidy desk. When I was younger, it's like, cool, my desk needs to be tidy, not messy. So that is why I'm even now, like looking around, straightening things up on my desk. Like, because that trauma has, like as a 9-year-old, if someone tells me now that I'm disorganized, I'll just tell them they're lying. I don't know, but it's like, you know what I mean? If someone's tell me I need to be more spontaneous, which, you know, I could probably bank on that. I definitely do. I will seek ways of doing that, but it's not going to go, well, what authority does that person have over me apart from the one I give them? Whereas when you're 9, your year 4 teacher has all the authority over you, because respect your elders.
Sure. But so, also is the pastor, I don't know. I went to religious high school, but the pastor probably had some authority over you as well, right?
I thought you said pasta, and I literally went and thought of like pasta, like the food.
The Italian in you.
The Italian in me, literally, I was like, but of course, like pasta. I'm like, man, I went to church. I didn't go to Italy. No, not really.
Okay.
But no, because I was too young, man. I was like, you'd go to Sunday school, so I can't even remember the name of the Sunday school teacher. To be honest, it wasn't. Okay. It was maybe more the friends that I made. They would like you'd fear them, or as a kid you'd be like, oh, they're in charge, but you know that as a kid, it's like, you know, teachers are in charge or there's authority there. But no, I wouldn't say he had much influence.
Okay, interesting. Really interesting. I'd like to dig into that more maybe in the future at some point.
Yeah, keep going, man. Dig away. Get the shovel out. What more you got?
It's an interesting topic. I've never really subscribed to religion myself, even having gone to a pretty strict college in high school. Was it your parents' decision to like get involved in that? They were like pretty religious themselves, or they were like, no,
full background. No, full background. Dad grew up Anglican. Mum grew up Catholic. So my dad is from the UK. Not he is, but his family is. If you can't pick up from my surname Wallace, technically, I don't actually think Scotland is. No, Scotland's part of the UK. And then my mum is Italian, and her maiden name is Paolone. So, Italians, Catholic, the UK, Church of England, Anglican. That kind of is where that comes from. And then, you know, they went. They went to church pretty religiously when they were growing up, and then so religion was always a part of their lives. And then long story short, they transitioned from Catholicism and being Anglican to Anglicanism. I don't know what that term would be. To going to more, I think they would call themselves either Protestant or born again Christians. I can't remember. And then when you're 2, you don't really have a decision in what you're doing with your life. When you're 3, so at what stage do you? So yeah, you just until you're pretty much, young adult, 16, 17, and that's by that time we were kind of out of it. So there would be days where it's like, oh, but the footy's on. I don't really want to go to the, here's an example. I was actually a pretty gun footy player growing up from 7 till 12, believe it or not. For those that see my frame, probably don't believe it, but when you're 7, it doesn't really matter what your frame is. I was a bit of a mongrel and definitely got in and under, more of a rover. Did play on the wing a little bit, but liked being inside rather than outside. So that was my position. And we played under whatever it was, under 12s, or I can't remember what the age range was. But as soon as you went to under 13s, footy was on Sundays. And that's when my career stopped. Literally. So my dad was adamant, like, no, like he can play, blah, blah, blah. Mum was like, no, church on Sunday. Sorry, pick another sport.
Wow.
So yeah, and then I did, and I played almost every sport under the sun. But that was in terms of taking decisions out of your kids' hands. That was one of them, and that is a pastime. There's no resentment towards my mother because I know she'll probably listen, and anyone else that's probably thinking, "Geez, what critical parents!" Like, don't stress about it. They're fine. That's just how they were, and that's how we believe what we believe until someone breaks that belief. So yeah, they're definitely decisions that they made, but who am I as a prepubescent male to be like, hey mom, I'm not going to footy. I'm not going to church. I'm going to footy. So yeah, like I don't regret it. It's just part of my upbringing.
Sure. I feel like I'm way more susceptible to change based on my environment. My environment creates me. And if I had that same upbringing, it would have really molded me and I wouldn't have been able to break that mold. And it sounds like it hasn't really affected you whatsoever. Not like affected is like kind of, there's like a negative connotation to that, but it seems as though you're just you and you've always been you and that didn't really change.
I think you go through like, you go through an overcorrection for sure. Like you go through when such boundaries are put on anything you do in life, as soon as those boundaries are removed or you want to test the boundaries, you go to the opposite end. And I definitely saw people that were in that world go way past the opposite end of where I, had gone. And it's like, whoa, like again, like I know what's right and wrong. Like I definitely want to dabble in what I'm not been allowed to do, watch TV, go to the movies. I don't really know.
Whoa.
I know crazy what. I know there are other things, but yeah, some people just went, I don't want to say off the rails, but some people went all the way to the other end of the spectrum. And it's like, okay, well, that's you've got to experience. You've almost got to, when you're so far one way, you to correct, you go at correction with acceleration. And so therefore you're like, cool, I know the middle. If anyone can see what I'm doing, it's like you've got 2 pillars, one on the left, one on the right. And then you, as quick as you can, you want to get to the middle, which is norm. But you can't slow yourself down. So then you find yourself like with momentum going over, and you see how fast you go to that other side allows you to go all the way. And then hopefully there is a natural correction that comes back. Sometimes you get stuck out there. Sorry?
It's like a pendulum.
Yeah. So it's like, you can't just like run like, oh, I know that everything that I was doing was right, but just a little, everything I was doing was really good, but I just want to dabble over here just a tiny bit and take off these restrictions. It's probably like, well, I've had all these limitations on me for a long period of time. What's life like without any of these limitations? Right. And then you try that. It's like, yeah, that was fun, but I can see how that's not sustainable. So let me go back a little bit more over here and try more of this stuff. And then you end up just finding your norm, and everyone just falls a little bit left or right of that curve. And we all do it based on life experiences, not necessarily specific to religion.
It seems pretty common where there's that massive overcorrection and people fall through us completely. Like Macaulay Culkin. It's kind of the first one that I thought of. Just like
I don't really know his life.
Child star, like was in the Home Alone movie. Yeah, was like massive actor. Yeah, and then he I can't remember the drug, heroin or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, big time. Yeah, that was a really big one, and that happens like heaps of the Disney kids, like Jake Paul. Yeah, classic example.
Was he a Disney kid?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, a few of those Would that just go like Demi Lovato, maybe? I think.
I know she was on Disney, but didn't know she went off the rails.
Yeah, she was in rehab heaps.
Yeah, right.
Flat out. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so it's just like this massive overcorrection. Maybe that's just from like these wild constraints, never actually having like a childhood. Michael Jackson could be a good example of that.
Yeah, Michael Jackson dabbled with some interesting things that were never proven, apparently. So interesting. Speaking of allegedly, there we go. That's that famous word. Yeah, I think overcorrection is definitely, and everyone does it. Everyone does it in every part of their, in some aspect of their lives at some point, I would say. So it's not uncommon to test those, but I wouldn't say, again, that there's definitely positives that I've learned from that upbringing. I wouldn't say they're all specific to having gone to church and the religion.
Yeah, 100%. So any other notes from Joel's episode?
No, just definitely
maybe how you look at things, or maybe your own actions at all.
Not really. Like we discussed before, I feel like I'm relatively self-aware. I want to get him back on in a little while and chat a little bit more, because there's so much that we've left unspoken in that podcast. And potentially maybe get someone on in the female space in something similar to explore that and enlighten us about that sort of side of the world that, we're not privy to in terms of a first person experience, but rather trying to help and understand and be more aware of that side. So that's probably more it's like, oh, that was really cool. That all impacts me. And then hearing what you said about, some females that have heard that, to give them insights. Like, well, great. Let's see if we can find someone that's in that space as a female that can give us some enlightenment as to their journey.
That'd be awesome.
What about you?
What did you say? You go.
Yeah. What about you? What are your big takeaways and anything that you've applied from Joel's chat?
I would say it was interesting understanding the like generalizations, I guess, like what being a man kind of is in his mind, where it's, your assertiveness, and, not being afraid of your strengths, the things that, like, it does seem like modern day thought processes are kind of against like the masculine. It does feel that way a little bit, where it's like those masculine traits that you would normally allow to come to the forefront, people want to suppress them a little bit, and like kind of everyone just conforms. Like, would you say that you're more masculine or feminine?
Oh, I've never really thought about it, to be honest. In some aspects of my life, masculine, in others, feminine.
What aspects would you say?
That's a good question. If you like white line fever, that wasn't, your speakers haven't broken, guys. I was just a long pause. I don't really, I honestly, I wouldn't know. I don't even want to try and speculate. Because I'm straight away pigeonholing masculine as being aggressive or more assertive, and I don't like that as an immediate thought process. So I don't think that's fair on either masculinity or femininity. I definitely feel in a lot of areas, and I couldn't tell you which ones. I know what I want, but I don't think that's a different, whether it's a masculine or feminine energy. I don't know. I struggle to answer that question. You?
Do you think it's hard because you don't want to pigeonhole certain emotions or traits to like either a masculine or a feminine? Maybe if they were called something else.
Because I think it's situational. I don't think it's type of like part of my life. Like, yeah, in my workplace, I'm masculine, but in my running, I'm feminine, or fitness. But in my relationship, I'm masculine. Because I don't think it's cut and dry. I think there's parts of both in all aspects. Sure. So I would have to go more down in this one conflict that I had, I definitely went down a more masculine route and didn't find that effective, or did find that effective. Whereas in this other, conflict resolution I was trying to resolve, blah, 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 I went more feminine. I felt like a bit more in that regard. And probably it's due to maybe a lack of full understanding about what each means in every scenario. So I don't want to say, sure, when it comes to my family dynamic, I'm definitely masculine. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I would say I try and attach different emotions to it. When I'm thinking about it, I'm like, okay, masculine. And again, it's not just masculinity and femininity. It could be, for me, it's masculinity. It could be like assertive and dominant, and femininity could be more like nurturing and careful. You know, more. There's more thought that goes into making a decision, whatever that could be. That's where my mind kind of goes. Like rather than like pigeonholing, like masculinity is just this, and it's a really broad thing that you're trying to like paint. Like for example, your workplace. It's like in what role? Like as a management role, or as a peer, or as an employee, as a potential employer. Like there's so many different things. So I think when you're trying to break it down, and it's like a really interesting thought process, I think, or kind of like thought experiment, is thinking, when am I masculine, when am I feminine? So when am I more assertive or more dominant or more overbearing? I guess that's kind of like a negative thing, and then when am I more nurturing and caring and understanding and thoughtful? They would be more feminine traits in my mind.
Right. Yeah. So I struggle to put them under either masculine or feminine, and I could be wrong. But from my perspective, or my opinion, I wouldn't say that assertiveness or dominant falls under masculinity, and I wouldn't say nurturing falls under femininity.
But men could be feminine and women could be masculine.
Yeah, completely agree.
It's not a man or a woman thing.
No, I agree. I just wouldn't say like I could go like why is So that's what I mean. I don't fully understand the definitions.
Sure, cool.
So that's where I would struggle
researching that, because it is an interesting thought process.
Sure, yeah, we can research it.
Cool. What about Vakes? How did you like him last week?
Yeah, loved it. Definitely not necessarily full fanboy, but yeah, I have watched a lot of his YouTube. Like I said, have you gone through and watched any of his since?
Yeah, heaps.
Yeah, he's good, eh?
Yeah, he's so good. Yeah, great host.
I feel like he's one of those. He's a perfect example of like just do the work. I'm not sure if he sets timelines and plans out, as he said, he probably doesn't plans out his YouTubes and all that sort of stuff. But he just goes, cool, I'm going to do this, I'm going to put it up, and he's super vulnerable, open. Seems like a super engaging guy, like a true people person, which is what being as a fitness coach and a gym owner and all that sort of stuff you need to be. That comes through really well in the videos, and then just to some of his insights and some of his goals he's setting for himself, the relationships he's built just come from just being a good egg.
Yeah, totally agree. And also starting, like for me, when I think about starting a YouTube or something, it'd be breaking down that initial barrier of just getting the camera out and talking to it. And he just does it so naturally. Like I watched one of his videos recently, and he's training in a gym, and it's just him, and he's obviously just put the camera down, he's just starting to talk to it, and he's like, this is what I'm going to do, and this is the gym, and he does the cuts really well, and the edits are sick.
Yeah,
and obviously it's really high quality camera work, and it's really engaging stuff. I can see him becoming massive.
Yeah, I think like I say, it's just all relationships based. So he now just organically knows heaps of CrossFitters, the biggest CrossFit brand in Australia, and TWL does a lot of work for them. And it's just about network and quality. So if you want to do that grind, it's just that's what everything is. Really, like all business comes down to who you know, not what you know. As probably people get sick of hearing the amount of people I've either had conversations with about hiring, or we've had on the podcast or anything like that. It's all about who you know, and reaching out to the networks that you can help and maybe can offer something back. And that comes over years and years. It just doesn't happen out of thin air. So, going back to, if you want to go all the way back to the religion, it's like one of the biggest things is like, it's not about, not swearing. It's about just being a good egg. Like, you know what I mean? It's just build a relationship, be kind. If you're like, kindness, I think is lacking in the world in general. But if you're kind to everyone, not a pushover, just kind and respectful, you will be shocked about what can come back to you. And I know this firsthand. I'm pretty sure I'm okay to reference this. But my partner's been in a music. Do you know who Tim Minchin is?
That name rings a bell.
Tim Minchin, look him up. Comedian, musician, actor, quadruple threat, Australian. My partner's been in a music video for him, and that purely came out of networking and him asking people that he knows who he thinks could be a good dancer in this video. And a few people that she hadn't even interacted with in years had said, oh, Zoe, definitely, she'll be great. This is a couple of years ago. And so it's just from her nurturing those relationships and just being, being her genuine self. She's not putting anything on, obviously, but just being a good human. People are like, she's a great dancer and she's a good human. Of course, I'm going to recommend her. So just holding on to those quality relationships for a long period of time landed her pretty amazing gig and danced in a music video for an internationally known artist, which is pretty unreal when I think about it. Just things like that holds you in good stead. And I feel like that's what Vake's setting up long term for himself, is just nurturing relationships, just being a really, really good human. Like he's a father, he's a husband. He's working for himself, putting up YouTube content, doing freelance work for products and content creation, that sort of thing. That's just putting yourself out there, making yourself available. That's a grind. And it's just, again, these people that we keep having on seem to be opportunists and just seizing the day. And I think the common theme that we're hearing from all of them is just like, just do it. Like, just have a crack. And just to hear that from someone, for myself, that, I've got a pretty good point of reference about his, what he's doing. Obviously, having followed him for a little while, it's kind of like, yeah, just start, fail fast, fail hard, fall flat on your face, turn around, and stand up and keep going. On the YouTube thing, actually, I do have an ex-colleague of mine who's now working for another couple of different gyms over here, and caught up with him a few times. And he's actually created a YouTube channel for one of the gyms that he's at under the gym owner's guidance. And what I love about it is the gym owner has kind of said, whatever you have created by the timeline that we need to release goes up. So he's like, I don't care if it's good or if it's shit. Probably does care. Like, but I'm not giving you more time. So by Sunday night, whatever you've done, it gets uploaded. You don't get more time. So I think one of them, he said to me the other night when we caught up, he's like, yeah, one of them was just not ready and it went up. And then, the owner was just like, you're going to learn from this, aren't you? Yep. Like, and you can be sure that in the ones, every single step after that, it's like, learn, make sure it's on time. And yes, a grind, but like that sort of stuff is just, that's how you learn. You don't just keep waiting and waiting and waiting. You just, okay, this is shit, and put it up. Someone will watch it or they won't watch it, and I'll learn from it. It's out there. Cool. And then you won't get as picky with what you're putting up, because you know that there's something really shit out there and everything from there on is going to be really good. So it's the same sort of stuff with what I think Vake's doing. Like, just put it up, just do it.
Yeah, you just got to rip the Band-Aid off, I think. Don't wait until it's perfect. This is kind of me talking to myself about stuff. Just put stuff out there. It's
man.
that bad.
How are you going with it? Because it's something that you've wanted to do since the start of the year, and we're into the 4th month. And what did you get out of that in terms of where you want to go?
Yeah, it is definitely something that I want to explore in the future. And it could be this year for sure. But you know how it is. You know how I am. I'm just a yes man, and opportunities come up and I say yes to stuff. So having the 2 footy teams and then taking on more coaching stuff, there's only so many hours in the day.
Can I challenge that?
So for now, it's on the back burner a little bit, but that's not to say it won't ever happen, because it might for sure. It's something that I'm definitely keen on. But I'm kind of scratching that creative, long form itch with this. And this is really filling the cup for me in that respect. So I don't feel a massive pull towards starting like another creative project like that right now.
Yeah.
Because really I'm just trying to get myself back on like training consistently, and with this new routine and doing more hours at the gym and with this, and trying to like really push this as far as we can, and in the future for sure. Yeah. And it's knowing people that will be able to help you in that field as well. Like Vags would be amazing. That's like, he's interstate, very rarely down in Adelaide. Not to say that I could jump on a call with him every now and then, but finding a videographer, or do I do it myself? And what's the timeline? Is it 1 a week? Is it 3 a week? Is it 1 a fortnight? And then developing the new skill, that takes a mental toll as well, of learning how to edit stuff and, just filming in general, and, and all that. I really like leaning into being a novice at stuff. I love it. But there's only so many things you can do at once. You know this.
True. My argument to that is always going to be, it's not time, it's priorities. So
sure.
Yeah, I'll say that to anyone. Like someone say, "Oh, there's not enough time today." It's like, no, that's cool. There's enough. There's just not a priority. Other things are more priority. Other things are more of a priority, or it's not enough of a priority, and you'd prefer to, like speaking to myself, prefer to sit on the couch and watch whatever you want to watch instead of do the X, do the thing, which is fine.
A mate of mine once said, when I was really like heavily posting on social media and stuff about training, he's like, dude, you care more about posting than actually training. And I think that scarred me a little bit. Like I never want the standard of my training to decrease because now I'm filming it for whatever reason. You know, I would rather put time into actually training well and being a good athlete and then eventually picking up the camera and maintaining that intensity rather than like trying to get back into training consistently and filming it. And then I'm, you know, spending 10 minutes between sets, like finding the right camera angle and stuff. Like that's kind of how I work, is because I want stuff to be perfect. I'm not just going to plop the camera down and then do. Like I have to make sure it's really well structured. So while I'm getting back into training and training hard and becoming a good athlete, that's the goal. That's my priority 100%. And then adding the camera stuff in, that'll come with time, just not yet.
Yeah, fair enough. For sure. I think you need to get the routine down, Pat.
Yeah, that's the goal.
How is the training going with the new routine?
Well, first day today of the new block, so it'll go well. I'll train at 4, back into work till 7-ish. Rinse and repeat pretty much 6 days a week.
And what's the training goal?
For now, it's just to increase all my main lifts: deadlift, back squat, bench press. I'm pretty fit at the moment, but I haven't really touched the weight for 3 weeks. We had kind of our off. It's called complete weeks. It's just kind of the interim period between blocks. So we have 10-week blocks followed by X amount of weeks. We had 3 weeks this time around of kind of like more random workouts. And because I picked up footy, I was getting beaten up by that. So I just didn't touch a weight for 3 weeks basically. While I was just doing footy and running a lot with that. But now I started the block, not playing footy, so I can really just focus on being a good athlete in the gym, which is the main focus. That's going to help me with all my goals I mentioned at the start of the year as well.
Yeah, can I challenge something then there? It doesn't sound like you've got a lot of conviction about these goals that you set at the start of the year, because things keep popping up as they do for you and as you will admit. And those goals fall to the wayside pretty quickly.
Not these, no, I'm back now.
Yeah, I feel like I heard that.
Where I know what you're saying with footy coming up, and footy takes priority because there's so many things to that. Actually, I'll expand on that. I was always injury riddled when I was going through my juniors. I was playing at a decent level, but I was never exceptional. I felt like I never actually fulfilled my athletic potential in footy, which is kind of why I got into fitness in the first place. It's why I got into strength and conditioning, to just understand injury prevention and rehab stuff and strength and conditioning, you know, so you can just prevent stuff from even happening without having to cure it, you know, or fix it. So that was kind of my entry into fitness, was learning about the strengthening side of things. And then when I got into that, I turned it into a career of fitness and went into PT, and I was doing some S&C stuff with football players, but nothing like I'm doing now, where I had basically 2 full teams coming through a program. So at one point I had like 70 athletes on this program. So it's a 16-week program, which is coming to a close in the next 5 weeks or so. And getting involved in that, then I had the opportunity to play with one of the teams. So it's like Div 1 amateur footy, which is a very high standard, coached by an ex-AFL guy. You know, there's an ex-AFLW lady out there doing some coaching stuff. One of the ex-Crows Ruckmans out there. So it's a really high caliber of coaching staff. It's star-studded. I'm like, if I'm ever going to come back and play, it's under these people, you know, because the structures are really well laid out and everything is so systemized. And I never really had that in my juniors. Plus, I'm fitter and stronger than I am now than I ever was when I was playing football before. So I started training lightly and got into team training, and then started getting into the competitive stuff, and then ended up getting picked for the trial game and then picked for round 1 and played and went okay. Like I wasn't out of my depth, but I was just getting thrashed. It was just beating me up because I was only really, like I was kicking on just my right legs. My right hamstring was getting really long and my left one was getting really short, and that would twist my back, and my right side low back would go, and my left knee, and I ruptured ligament in my ankle, and my shoulders were getting thrashed. And just like general soreness and fatigue from playing footy.
Yeah.
Because I'm a competitor, I'm not just going to go out there and give 80%. Like I'm going out there and going as hard as possible. And I just felt like that really took away from those goals that I'd set myself at the start of the year. And I had analyzed and seen that happening, months ago, 2 months ago, before we even got into playing games. And I saw that happening and I'm like, that's fine. Like I really want to have a crack at being a good footy player.
For sure.
And then started to see that my other stuff was starting to fall by the wayside. My other training, I hadn't lifted weights in a month or more. Even as a coach, I couldn't really, like I was so stiff and sore.
Yeah.
Monday and Tuesday were pretty much a write-off. So I'd go into the gym and be subpar at my job at the gym that I own. I would be subpar at so that'd sign me as the S&C coach, which is an important note. This team that I'm playing for. And because I was getting paid pretty well to do this, when I was playing, I couldn't really do the role as well as play at the same time. So I felt like I didn't want any potential resentment from the club in paying me to be the second string player. Even though I was in the A grade side, I was probably the worst player in the A grade side. So I wasn't exceptional. I wouldn't have felt as bad if I was playing and I was doing really, really well, but I just wasn't. Like I was in the team, but I wasn't like crushing it. And I couldn't do my role. So at the end of the day, I thought it was the best thing for me to just like pull the pin on footy, still do the S&C and do it really, really well, just to avoid any potential resentment from the club, from them thinking, well, we're paying this dude to be like an average player.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a combination of all things. It was a combination of that. It was a combination of me letting these goals fall by the wayside of running this 50K and, deadlifting X amount and bench pressing X amount and cleaning X amount and snatching X amount, to just like come to that, like the bottleneck of me just saying, you know what, I'm just going to really focus on this stuff that I set myself the goal of at the start of the year and not let anything get in the way of that anymore. So I appreciate the challenge, but that's my rebuttal to that is now I'm back on it. I'm nothing's getting in the way of it now, which is the goal.
Right. So do you feel like you're all in on anything right now?
Yeah, this training. Yeah, getting towards these strength goals at the end of the year and running this 50K.
Right. So when's that 50K? Is that July?
December.
Oh, December. I thought that was. Oh no, you would run 50Ks while someone runs 100Ks or something.
Oh yeah, no. My mate will run 100Ks. That's in July, and I might do a little leg of that, maybe a half marathon or something, 20.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
But now I'm actually talking to this guy, Kane. He will be on the podcast hopefully in a few weeks. He ran 44 marathons in 44 days with no training. So I'm like, maybe I should do something a little harder.
Well, again, I think it comes down to conviction, dude. Like, I think that there's always going to be things that will sway you. Like, there's things that have popped up that have, deterred me or from running, or, it's been pissing down or whatever it is. It's going to stop you from doing it, and you might have other opportunities to present themselves. And that's what I mean by, like, maybe the conviction isn't there around these goals, because you need to. And obviously, you got the full year, and 100% goals change. I'm not arguing that point. And if you've got the opportunity to, have one last crack, then definitely have one last crack. But that's hence my question around the conviction. Like, this guy was like, cool, I'm committing to 44 marathons in 44 days, and people know about it. Bam. You can't go, oh, I did 18. I did 41.
Well, I think he just went. I don't think he had 44.
Right. Okay. But like that, you know what I mean? You know what I say? You've got to have intrinsically, you've got to be motivated by those goals to want to do them. So yeah, I'm curious to see how we travel down here. Are you doing, what programming are you sort of doing for these goals this week? Are you doing what Rebel's got programmed?
Yeah, Rebel training. Yeah, which will get me there. A lot of people increase their lifts by 10 or 15 kilos every block. Once you get up towards your upper,
they're probably untrained.
It's going to, it'll hopefully be more for me now because I haven't trained.
Yeah.
So my lifts now will be a lot less.
Mm.
Yeah, but most people, when they're, pretty experienced, like people have been coming to the gym for a few years, they all really increase by 10 kilos in all their main lifts, which is pretty massive.
That is good, man.
So it works. Yeah,
unreal. Well, it's good that you're back in the groove for that sort of thing, and hopefully this new staffing structure and routine and roster and whatever you want to call it, helps create some sort of schedule for you that you can lean on and keep accountable to, I guess.
I've never fallen off. I was always just my emphasis, my priority, my focus changes, my focus point. But I'm always 100% into something. You know, make it sound like I'm kind of like half in, half out. But I was
no, not at all. Just more the like you say, you just hadn't trained for a little while and all this sort of stuff, and you've got the whole year, so there's plenty of time to hit the goals. But yeah, absolutely, your focus changes and switches up from time to time on various topics. You can't be 100% in on everything at all times. You just cook yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. And I just jump around more often than others potentially. But yeah, the goal is strong and fit. That's the goal. Still involved with S&C and getting that done with the boys. So it'll be good.
Yeah, man, I like the idea of speaking of strong and fit, what Vakey's kind of maybe floated out as an idea of, I think, I've forgotten his name again, the CrossFitter from SA, owns Soul 365, James Newbury, that hybrid athlete, same as like Nick Bear, runs marathons, but also can do X, Y, and Z in the gym and runs marathons fast, man. Nick Bear's hoping for like a sub 3 hour marathon, which is ridiculous.
At like 100 kilos.
Yeah, and then he's probably going to go in and squat 200 or some shit. That idea, and I was speaking about this with a mate yesterday. What's today, Monday? Yesterday. And he's kind of the same. He's done tries and also done CrossFit comps and that sort of stuff. And he's like, we're both at the point now. It's like, I'd love to be able to be quick over distances, various distances. Like I still want a sub 6 minute mile, which I think I can get. Just haven't tested it. I want a sub 45 10K. I want a sub 25K. Like I want these things, and I want a sub 140 half. But then I also want to be able to deadlift, 2.5 plus, squat 2 plus, and just be able to do those things. And then skill development when it comes to, all the different things that you can do in and out of the gym. So I think that's going to be beyond this initial half marathon, just because the half is in, 3 weeks, the gym training is slowed down to a complete halt. But once that half's done and I've recovered, I'm probably going to try and test those other distances, the 10, the 5, and the 1 mile, maybe even the Cooper's test, see if I can get 3.5 Ks in a Cooper's test, which is a 12-minute run as far as you can for those that don't know. And then just like, cool, let's get into some skill development stuff. Let's see if, the CrossFit side of training, as just learning the skill, put that maybe at more of the forefront until the next half, which is in August. It's kind of like get the best of both worlds, ideally.
Maybe I should just hold out on telling people my goals, because I really want to work at one thing, but then I've got also these 5 or 6 other things that I could possibly work on, and they're not really going to take away from each other. Like Nick Bear, great example, and James Newbury, great example, and a few of the CrossFit guys and triathletes. They're fit, but they're also really, really strong. So there's no reason why you can't do both.
Yeah, I think that maybe the way that, well, from what I see, from what Nick's doing, especially on YouTube, if you don't follow Nick Bear on YouTube, look him up. His goal is the marathon. He just happens to do strength training as well. So he doesn't really have strength goals that he's putting out there, but he's just not stopping that side of it. James Newbury will go out and go, cool, I'm going to do an Ironman or a triathlon, and I'm training for that. But he's not stopping the other stuff. So he does, I think you're right. I think just maybe, like, even for me, I feel like I've got one goal right now. My one goal is my half marathon. So yeah, as an example, like I do have those strength goals. I'm not currently working on them actively because they're not a priority. So yeah, I think that's.
But you can't do both.
Sorry?
You don't think you could do both?
No, I definitely could do both. I'm just choosing not to.
Okay.
Purely based on being in Perth and my routine over here always gets thrown, and being 3 weeks out, it's kind of like if I, as you would know, like you just said, like if you stop training for a week in the gym or 2 weeks in the gym, try get back in the gym and not be sore. And right now, running's too high a priority for me to have any days when my DOMs are killing me and I need to go out for a 18-kilometer run.
Yeah, true.
So hence why I'm saying, like, in 3 weeks, once the half's done, do all my tests, and then bam, let's get it.
It's interesting, isn't it? Maybe my perception of myself is a bit different, but you really, really focus on one thing, and I'm scattered. Or I've got a few things on the go. Scattered is probably not the right word, but maybe it is. You tell me. But I've got like a few things on the go at once, which all kind of I rank in similar priority. Like nothing really dominates more than the other. For me right now, it is strength development. That's my goal.
Maybe it's because the timeline is the same. Do you know what I mean? Like potentially, because I know that for me, my timeline is 3 weeks.
Yeah.
For one of them, and the other ones aren't until later. So if the timeline's the same for all, well, you can't really split up your priorities.
Yeah, sure. That's true. But I guess it is just like overall development.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I don't really need to separate them so much. It's just like get fitter and stronger over the next 9 months or 8 months.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I mean though. Like that you've got the timeline. I mean, you've got so much time and they're all on the same timeline. So it's not really like you're not having one priority. It's like, well, they all culminate at the same time. Whereas I couldn't exactly go, cool, well, I really need my half marathon to be good in December when my race is in May.
Yeah.
So that's probably why it's a little bit different.
Yeah, sure. Nice. So we've got Kane coming on. Date
Kane.
to be confirmed. Kane, the marathon guy, 44
Yeah, cool.
marathons in 44 days.
Yep.
Date to be confirmed, but he's in. It's gonna be a really interesting chat. He's got a documentary coming out about it. Yeah, I'm not even going to like preface it with any more than that. Basically, he was in an accident and he got his shit together, decided to run a lot.
Yeah, man, that's ridiculous.
So
what is that?
We'll hear about the nitty gritty of that. It's going to be a sick conversation. Yeah, it's going to be really cool, man.
Is that like 1,856 kilometers in a month and a half? Dude. That's wild.
And then he started a 60K a day. But anyway, I'll let him talk about that. It's going to be a really interesting chat. I love that kind of the mental side of things and how you can really just do anything.
Yeah, the body's amazing, eh?
It's pretty crazy what you put your mind to, you can achieve. Not to get too like profound or like David Goggins or whatever, but seriously, you can do anything. It's pretty crazy what you put your mind to.
Kind of what I mentioned a couple of weeks ago. Just put a timeline on yourself, or put a target. Set yourself some targets, and you'll be surprised what your body can achieve, your mind can achieve, and all that sort of stuff. I love it. 100%. It's going to be good. All right, bro. Well, looking forward to that one. But until next time, thanks for tuning in, guys.